They say that Muhammad copied Quran from the Bible. What do you say about this?
Well, we've got a lot of things to say about that. Not only that, the Christians have a lot to say too. Actually, the Christians talking helps our case because Allah says in the Quran that woe to those who change the scriptures with their own hands and say this is from Allah.
He lied again. He just misquoted Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 79. Chapter 2, verse 79 in its context is talking about a group of Jews who did not know the book except from hearsay, meaning they never read the book. They only knew the book secondhand. And then it says, woe to those Jews who did not know the book, who then wrote a book at that time and passed it off as revelation. So yes, the Quran is acknowledging that at the time of Muhammad, there were some Jews who wrote a book and tried to pass it off. But that same Quran says those Jews did not know the book. They didn't have no knowledge of the book. He ipso facto assumes this is referring to the Bible. No, it's not. It's most likely referring to the traditions of Jews that were codified, which they passed off as revelation. Because in the same chapter, chapter 2, verses 40 to 44 of the Quran, chapter 2, verse 89, chapter 2, verse 91, chapter 2, 97, chapter 2, 101, chapter 2, verse 121. In all of these verses, it says, one of the proofs that the Quran is from the God of the Jews and Christians is that the Quran confirms what is already with the Jews at that time, already with the Christians it says, this confirms what is already with you. Now, let me give you some other surahs. Chapter 3, verses 3 to 4 of the Quran, chapter 3, verses 113, 114, chapter 3, verse 199, chapter 4, verse 47, chapter 5, verse 66 and 68, chapter 10, verse 37, chapter 10, verse 94, chapter 12, verse 111, chapter 46, verse 12 and 30, all of which say the Quran confirms what is between Muhammad's hands, whatever book he had access to, and it then mentions the Torah and the Gospel, and he confirms them as true and valid, uncorrupt. And it says that the Jews and Christians are nothing unless they observe the Torah and the Gospel and all the other revelation given to them through their prophets. And that if I want to know whether Muhammad is true, to then test him in light of the book given to the people, the Jews and Christians. So when we take what the Quran teaches as a whole, the Quran goes out of its way to say, whatever books, whatever scriptures the Jews and Christians had at that time of Muhammad, those books are confirmed by the Quran to be uncorrupt, perfectly preserved, and they are the words of Allah to be used to live by and judge Muhammad's revelation.
Those books that Muhammad had in his time, the Gospel and the Torah, we don't have them anymore, do we?
Well, this is where the Muslims wish that would be true, because we have manuscripts of the Old Testament books and the New Testament writings. Before, during, after the time of Muhammad, they're identical to what we have today. We even found copies of the Old Testament books that were discovered in 1947, Dead Sea Scrolls. Some of these books are nearly complete, produced 200 years before the time of Christ. So we know what the scriptures were that Jesus had access to. Chapter 3, verses 48 and 50, chapter 5, verses 46 and 47 state that Jesus confirmed the Torah and the writings between his hands, meaning whatever scriptures were there that Jesus had access to, he was set to confirm those scriptures are the uncorrupt, perfectly preserved words of God.